Hi there, Kyle Klein, and excited to talk to you today about one of my most favorite tools that I use basically every single day. So, we're going to talk about Gemini for education. There is a tiny URL here on the bottom, so if you want access to this presentation, you can have it. Just make sure that you have tinyurl.com, capitalize the G, capitalize the T, and it should pop up for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about how teachers can use Gemini. Gemini is basically Google's version of ChatGPT, and so it comes free for numerous, for just about any Google for Education workspace account. So if you go in under there's different ways you can access it. I always just go to gemini.google.com. You can also go into, if you have your little Rubik's Cube here, your waffle, whatever you want to call it, your 3x3 grid, and it should be showing up down here. If you scroll around, it's going to be this little diamond shape here, this little four-sided shape. So that is your how you can access Gemini. And we're going to be talking today about a few different things, how you can use it in your classroom. So my name is Kyle Klein. I am the Director of Digital Learning at Twin Lakes School Corporation. This is my 6th year there. Before that, I spent 5 years in a similar role at Delphi Community School Corporation. And before that, I was a secondary math teacher at Twin Lakes for 12 years. So I'm also a Google certified trainer and a member of the Indiana Connected Educators Board. So please, if you have questions after today, don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope that you learned something new today. So let's take a look at our agenda. So first off, we're going to talk about the art of prompting and what makes a good prompt. How can you get the most out of your prompt when you're using Gemini? And then we're going to talk about creating gems. So I love gems. They are basically a way for you to, if you're going to use a similar prompt throughout the course of using Gemini, then you can create a custom gem. That way you don't have to put all of the information into it every single time. And finally, something I've really been working quite a bit on has been with the Canvas option within Gemini and vibe coding. So we'll be going in and out of this presentation, but also, and so between here and to Gemini, so I can demonstrate a few of these things. But so I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed making it. So let's go. Move on here. Where are we going to go here? Keep moving. All right. So first off, the art of prompting. So when you go into Gemini, it's very easy to just ask for a lesson plan on the water cycle. And if you ask Gemini that, it's going to be a very basic general response that you will get. And so one of the best things to do when you are working with Gemini, ChatGPT, any LLM, large language model, is to make sure that you are specific. So when we're talking about how to be specific with your prompting, it is, first off, always give it a role. Okay, talk about how you are a teacher, what grade you teach, and always include that you're in Indiana. All right. That's going to be one of the biggest places that's really going to help you when you state what state you are in, because then it's going to pull from the Indiana standards. Let's see. So after that, then you might talk about, well, what is my task that I want to be completed? So you have to be clear with what you would like created. So in this example, create a 5-question diagnostic quiz. Maybe you want a station rotation model with 5 stations. It's going to have 3 students per station. And then you want to have, maybe out of the 5 stations, 3 of them are digital, 2 of them are hands-on. You want to make sure you include your topic. You want to include what grade level it's for. You have to be specific on this. Okay. Context is the third thing you want to really consider is, are your students just beginning to learn about the water cycle? Are they just beginning to are they reviewing for an upcoming exam? What kind of information do they already know, or are they going to learn, or do you want them to learn about that topic? And then finally, format. what do you want it to look like? Do you want it to be in a bulleted list? Do you want it to be in a table? Do you want to have a combination? Do you want to have paragraph form? Do you want timestamps with how long you should be at each item of that lesson plan, things like that? These are all things that to think about. Honestly, when I first started prompting in ChatGPT, is the first one I used. I would just put in like one or two sentences. Now my prompts are pretty close to a paragraph, almost two paragraphs, because I want to make sure the first iteration that comes out is going to be the best one I can get right off the bat. I don't want to keep having to type in more and more. I can, but that's not what I really want to do. So let's hop out, and I'm going to go over here to Gemini. So let's go here to Gemini. And so this is just gemini.google.com, or like I said before, you can also have where you have, you can go up to the Rubik's Cube. But when you first look at Gemini, you have your beginning opening box in here. A lot of times this is going to default to fast. So you actually have three different options under the Google for Education workspace. So there's fast, thinking, pro. Pro is really good for coding. We'll get to that in a little bit. Thinking solves complex problems. A lot of times teachers are pretty good with fast, and you have an unlimited amount of fast prompts that you can use during the day. You do have a limited amount of pro prompts and thinking prompts, so just keep that in mind. They have some suggested items under here where you can create an image. New one was create music. This is really fun. You can create a 30-second song about whatever topic that you want. You know, it's a great way to maybe play to get your kids to come back to their table, or it's just kind of like a warning, you know, things like that. A lot of fun there. You can create a birthday song for one of your students. Then I have a write anything, help me learn, a boost my day. You can use your microphone to type into Gemini, which is great. And you have a couple options over here. So tools, they have a guided learning. Guided learning is great when you're trying to learn something without just getting the answer. You know, a lot of times students and teachers want to just get the answer. Well, if you use guided learning, it's going to continually prompt you and ask you questions, help you learn. Creating an image, pretty self-explanatory. Canvas, I love Canvas for whenever I want to create something that is I'm going to use elsewhere. So if I want to create a Google Doc, if I want to create Google Slides, unfortunately it doesn't create Google Forms yet, but holding out hope that one of these days it will. There's deep research. So if you are studying up for something, if you are going to need to write a paper for yourself, or if you have Gemini open for your students and if they need to do some research, this is a great option as well. So they can use the deep research. And then you also have create music. Okay, that's the one we were talking about that's kind of new. This plus button is super wonderful and super helpful when you want to add files to your prompt to give it a little extra information and more specific details on what you're trying to find. I almost always exclusively add files if I'm working with standards, specific standards. Maybe I'm creating some iLearn remediation tools for our students, and I always add in like the item specs for those purposes. You could add in if you are referencing a specific chapter from your book, you could upload the PDF, and it's going to pull from that information. It's just a fabulous, fabulous resource to be able to use that with. Over here on the left, if I expand my menu, you'll see we have a new chat, gems, which we'll talk about my stuff. So it is nice because now you can save. You don't have to go back through all of your chats and try to find something you might have created a month ago or anything like that. You go to my stuff and it lists everything that you've created. So you'll see I have a bunch of different images. I have like some documents here. Anything with these arrows, that means that is going to be like something that has been coded. Down below in your chats, this saves all of your chats. Okay, I can go through here. There's quite a few. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I have way too many chats. I wish I could save these. And this is where I'm hoping that Google will go soon, where you're going to be able to like put your chats in a folder, just be able to organize them is going to be a huge, huge, huge help. I do want to add, if you go down here to your settings, and if you go to connected apps, this is how you can actually connect your Google account, your Google Drive, and anything like that. So you want to make sure this slider is on. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pull up anything from your Google Drive. So if I go back into a chat and if I click this plus button, this add from Drive option is not going to be here. You can upload files. You can upload anything from Notebook LM if you have used it. But this will not show unless you go down to your settings and make sure you go connected apps, turn this on. All right. So let's get into a good prompt. So like I said before, if I just say create a lesson plan for the water cycle, this is going to be very, very basic, and it's going to come with some ideas. One of the best things that I like about using Gemini or really any kind of tool is any LLM is that I may not take every single thing and I'm, maybe I've taught a subject for 10, 15, 20 years and I feel pretty comfortable with it. It just also gives me great ideas that maybe I haven't thought of. So maybe I'll still keep something that I've been using for quite a while, but it gives me some other things that I can do as well. So, oops, sorry. All right. So let's see. So let's see what they gave us. So we're going to scroll down a little bit here. We have our target age, our duration, our subject, learning objectives, core concepts. Okay. Oh, it even gave me an image here. That's great to use with my lesson. Gave me some vocabulary. Okay. It gave me a hook. That's wonderful. I wanted a hook for the water cycle. Some direct instructions. So it says like the hook's 5 minutes, direct instructions 15, activity 20, 10 minutes. Okay. And then it gives me some other options. So at the very end, also it'll maybe ask you a question of, would you like me to create something for you? Would you like this? And I'm like, sure, I would love that. Now here's the problem. What if I'm teaching a class that is 60 minutes, or maybe it's only 50 minutes, and I want to adjust some of these things? So when you create a prompt, here is what we're going to do. We're going to try to create something a little bit better. So remember, start with your persona. So I'm going to say you are a an 8th grade science teacher in Indiana. You teach at a rural school district. And so then next what we're going to do is we're going to want to talk about what we want to create. So I'm going to say create a lesson plan that includes the following. Let's see. It will be for a 50-minute class period. I would like the objectives written in the form of I will and we will. Give me a great hook to start the lesson. And let's see, what else do we need here? Well, I need differentiation. Okay, think about like what all goes into a good lesson. All right, you want to be able to reach all of your students. So differentiate tasks for below proficiency, at proficiency, and above proficiency students. I can just keep adding in so many more things here. I can say, give me an exit ticket. Oh my gosh, anything you can think of. Include a station rotation. So notice how my prompt is getting longer and longer. And like I said before, my prompts are so much longer now because they are part of they become more of like a paragraph, maybe even 2 paragraphs. So I'm going to say include a station rotation activity with 4 stations, 2 are digital and 2 are non-digital. And so I'm going to actually copy this. I'm going to keep this. So I can keep going on and on. So there's my task. I'm going to say this is for 8th grade students. I'm going to say science students that have learned the introduction of the water cycle. And then I'm going to say what kind of form do I want. So I would like this in a bulleted format with timestamps. Whew, okay, that's a whole lot, right? That is a whole lot. So actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy this here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And let's see how this varies from our first option. So let's see. We're going to move past the basics, looking at energy and forces. So here it says 8th grade science, 50 minutes. So this should be going out into, instead of 45 to 60, 50 minutes. My learning objectives, those are now written as I wills and we wills. So I have a hook, I have a mini lesson. So here we're talking about for like 10-minute mini lesson about energy versus gravity. Here's my station rotation. Look at this. They gave me 4 stations, 7 minutes each, 1 minute of transition. This is so cool. Oh my gosh, I love it. So then they gave me, see, we have 2 digital options and 2 non-digital options. We have an exit ticket, differentiation options here. Here's another exit ticket. Would you like me to create a specific worksheet for the watershed map station? Hello, yes. Now, if I wanted to create something though, remember, I want to go to tools and I want to choose Canvas. Okay. Actually, before that though, if there are things that you don't like say you like 3 of the 4 stations, you can always prompt in here and say, I want you to change station 4 to something else. Okay. You can prompt that in here. You can keep talking back and forth. You may have a conversation with Gemini for like 3 or 4 back and forths, and just to make it a little bit more specific. But think about like the ideas that you get from Gemini here. Okay, how can they really help you out? So I'm going to say yes, I deal with this worksheet, and I'm going to click on Canvas. So I'm going to say yes, please. I would like to use proper, I like to thank it for things. Please create the watershed map worksheet. And watch what happens since I added that canvas there. I can click on submit. And it has now shifted everything to the side, and it is creating a nice little worksheet here that is totally editable. Okay, I can go in here, I can edit anything right away. I can make these lines longer. I can go up here and I can adjust any of the activities down in here that I want to do if I want to make these activities longer. And then what I can do is, I don't know why I have that extra R, so I can remove that. Say that I get everything here that, or most of it I like, but then I'm like, okay, here it tells me what it did. Maybe I can go here and ask it to make some new things. So it says, how to look for 8th graders. Can I also include a rubric? Yes, I would love a rubric. Please create and add the rubric to this activity. Okay, I'm going to type that in. Now remember, we're using the fast version here. If I would have done the thinking or the pro, it might have come with a little bit longer, okay, activities and things like that. So, or it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's going to come up with something, so items that are a little bit more specific. So would you like me to create a similar rubric for Cloud in a Jar or the digital FET? I mean, that'd be great, but I don't need it. But look, down below, here are more parts to my activities. Here is my rubric. Oh, this is amazing. This is so cool. Maybe you want to change the grading from 1, 2, 3 instead. You could do that. You can ask that in the prompt. But now say I am to the point where I love everything. You can go up here to this little icon next to create, and you can click on share and export. So I'm going to click on share and export. Export to docs. So this will create a Google Doc for me. Let's see. Oh my goodness, that was so fast. Look at that. Just turned it straight into a Google Doc. And I can go in here. I can still even edit my Google Doc if I want to. So I have all these options. Here's my rubric. Oh my goodness, this is fabulous. Love it, love it, love it. This is pretty amazing. Let's go back here. Now, what else can it create? Well, I had it create, an activity for the station. But if I click on this create button, it'll create a lot of other things for you. So it could create a quiz about the water cycle. It could create an infographic about the water cycle. There are so many cool things. I'm just going to have it create an infographic. Let's see what it makes. I don't know, but this is going to go away. But you can always come back to it over here on the left, moving up and down within your chat, right? If I scroll back up, I can always come back and access it. Remember, I can always access it underneath my stuff as well. So that's going to be there too. So let's see what it makes. So it's going to make an infographic, and the infographics from Gemini are just gorgeous and amazing. I can even specify if I want the infographic in, if I want it in more of like a watercolor theme, or maybe I want it in a Lego brick theme, anything like that. So it's going to tell me here, all right, I've made what it's doing. It's making it. Problem is, I'm getting all this infographic in a code. I don't want it in code yet. We're going to talk about code in a little bit. I want this created as a downloadable PDF. Can you create, oh, sorry, let me move my picture here. Can you create, oh wait, maybe it's going to, it did it anyway. Okay, look at this. Here is my infographic: force of gravity, elevation, academic mastery profile. Okay, lots of cool things here. I didn't get specific with my with what I got from the water cycle, but maybe I could actually take some of these items off just by chatting and typing in this box. The amount of things that Gemini can create for a teacher to make it look nicer and to make it more kid friendly, just I'm flabbergasted. It's just so cool. It's so neat to be able to share. When you do share something like this that it creates for you, I could ask it to create it into something that I could possibly download. A lot of times, though, it's going to create something. It's going to say copy contents, and if I click on copy contents, the contents that it's taking is actually this code over here. And so, what do you do with that code? Well, you can take this code and you can put it into one of your LMSs like Canvas, Schoology. You can't put it right into Google Classroom yet, which is kind of a bummer. So what I have done, though, is a lot of things that I create, I actually go over into Google Sites, and there should be my vibe coding website where I've just created some different things. And here's what I can do. So I can go to Pages, and you can see that if I look at my different elementary, middle, and high school and faculty, I've created different activities for these grade levels. But I'm going to do a full page embed because I made a water cycle infographic. So I'm going to say the water cycle, and is what my title is going to be. I'm going to add the embed code. So instead of URL, I'm going to go embed code, and I'm going to paste. And notice here's all those little arrows. All this code that I just took over that would take me probably forever to make, Gemini created within like 30 seconds. I'm going to hit next. It's going to give me a preview. I'm going to hit insert. Here is my lovely infographic about the water cycle. I could even preview this so that I can see what it looks like on my website. And it says this is my preview mode only. But look how gorgeous this looks like. You could now share this link with your students in Google Classroom, in your Canvas, anything like that. Gemini created this for you in just a very short amount of time. So, sorry, there's so much to talk about. So much fun here. So I'm going to actually go back out of here on my preview mode. I'm going to come back to this here in a little bit. So let's go back to Gemini. So that is kind of a quick overview of what you can do with just a basic chat. You want to make sure that you are specific, that with your chat, you give it a whole bunch of information instead of just very basic and general. So, I was pretty specific up here with this chat. You need to be specific also. Now, the reason I copied this is because all of this font is because you can create something in Gemini that is known as a gem. So if I move this here, notice on the left side, you're going to see gems. So if you create a lot of lesson plans, then some of the things you can do is, and you're going to create it over and over again, then here's a shortcut. Let's make a gem. So if I look at my gems, Here, they have some created ones already from Google where you can use these. I have some gems that I have created. So I have my Keynote collaborator. I have a sixth grade math worksheet generator. I have anatomy of a lesson plan for grades 9 through 12. What that gem does is I can push this out to my grades 9 through 12 teachers, and they're on a block schedule. So it will basically help them create a lesson plan based on a 90-minute period. It will include the let's see, fundamental 5 pieces in their lesson plan. It'll also include ways to use Canvas with each of those different pieces as well. That is something that I can share out with somebody else. They can use it over and over again. They don't have to retype everything every single time. I have a Kyle image generator. If you are Facebook friends, you might have noticed that I was in the Olympics, Winter Olympics. Just kidding. I was not actually there, but you would think by my Facebook, I was in a lot of Olympic events. And I had some friends. They're like, wow, that's cool. You went to Milan. Just kidding, guys. I made images in Gemini to do that. So here we go. I have a rover lesson planner. I have a 3D printing lesson planner. I have a Sphero lesson planner. These I created with the CKLA for curriculum for our grades K through 5 in there. So that's always going to have their curriculum in there, their all the information about like their objectives, their readers that they use, any other kind of material, source materials. That's in my gem. So let's go in and create a gem. All right. All right. So the gem I'm going to create is going to be for 6th grade math. So I'm going to go to new gem. I'm going to call it a 6th grade math lesson planner. And I could go and describe my gem if I want. So I can say this will help teachers create dynamic and fully engaging lesson plans for 6th grade math. And I could even say, whatever, however you want to title it, based on the math standards. So here's my instruction. Create lesson plans for a 50-minute class period. Okay, so basically I added quite a few things in here. And keep in mind, I don't necessarily need all these every single time. I may not need a station rotation. I may not need a quick 3-question quick check, anything like that. I have added these items in here. There is a button that says use Gemini to rewrite your instructions. So I can click on this. Even though I wrote quite a bit, if I want a little help from Gemini, it's going to help reorganize my thoughts and put into more of it. Oh my gosh, this made it so much bigger, right? So I can scroll through here and it is going to put it into better terms than maybe what I did. So we're going to start here with purpose and goals. It's going to assist 6th grade math teachers. Okay, here we go. Write clear writing objectives. We're going to have a bell ringer and a hook. We're going to have our objectives written as I will, we wills, mini lessons, station rotation activities, quick checks, exit tickets. And then it has where it's added in differentiation activities. I can do an overall tone. This is a great way for it to help me out and create these. So a couple of things I would add here is my knowledge. So what knowledge do I want to have? Well, I want to base all my lesson plans off of the Indiana standards. So I'm going to upload a file. And I'm going to upload the Indiana Academic Standards for grade 6 mathematics because I always wanted to base my activities off of the Indiana standards, right? Now, if I'm writing a lesson plan, you can choose to have a default tool if you want. I'm going to say yes. I want this to be Canvas. You can leave it as no default tool, and you can always use the Canvas feature later, but I'm going to say yes, Canvas. And it gives you a little preview over here on the side. So let's write or build together. So I can preview this before I save it, but you can always come back and edit it any way you want. So I'm going to click save. So this is going to save our gem. And we're like, yay, it has been created. So let's start a chat with it. This is my 6th grade math lesson planner. I am going to upload some item specs for 6RP2. So I want some help to create a lesson plan based on this standard. Create a lesson plan based on the attached Indiana standard and item specification. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So we're using the fast mode again because we don't have a ton of time, right? So this is going to create my lesson plan, opens up the Canvas piece. Here we go. Here's our standard 50 minutes, gives me my vocabulary, it has my hook, it has my objectives, I wills, we wills. Oh, this is great. Here's a mini lesson. Here's a station rotation if I want to use it or not. And all of this is highly adjustable. Differentiation strategies, quick checks. Here's my exit ticket. And it tells me how it created these items over here on the side. It's going to say, here's my summary of my design. Would you like me to generate double number line task cards? Wow, that would be amazing because double number line task cards are not easy. So I'm going to say yes. Let's move this over here. Yes, please create the double number line task cards. And I can say, and the graphic organizer. I could probably just say yes, but I want to make sure that it knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to say yes. So here is my lesson plan. I could export it straight into a Google Doc if I wanted to, but now it's creating my task cards. So I've not done task cards. We'll see what it does. So it probably won't actually turn them into Google Slides, but maybe I could ask it to take the task cards and turn them into Google Slides. That'd be pretty amazing. So let's see if I can do it. I know I've done that a couple times before, but here's my document for everything. Here's my task cards. I'm going to say I don't have any developer number line templates. I could ask for that. So lots of cool things that it creates for me here. And then I can go in, I can keep editing this, or I can, export it. So gems are great when you're going to be using and doing a repetitive item. Okay, lesson planning. If you need to write professional emails, you need to write parent emails, things like that. Lots of great things you can do with gems. All right, so let's go back here. Let's go back to the new chat. So the last thing I want to do is I want to create something with vibe coding. I know I haven't gone back to my presentation here. Sometimes I get stuck in having too much fun in Gemini here. So let's see, we've already talked about what it's like to create a good prompt. And so we've talked about this. And then we just talked about creating custom gems. So we talk a little bit here about what gems are. Let's look at our Canvas and vibe coding. So what vibe coding is where teachers can actually create a website, an interactive activity with just basic talk, basic speech. You can code. Everybody can be a coder now, which is just absolutely amazing to me. And you can just use basic talk with Gemini to create something new or to have it edit what it's already created. So let's go into Gemini. Go back over here. And if you wanted to create something, if you're vibe coding a website, you always want to make sure that you have Canvas clicked. If you do not include Canvas, then it is not going to create a website interactive activity for you. So I'm going to say create an interactive game for, I forgot to tell it who it was. So let's go back here. You are a first grade teacher that is in Indiana. Create an animal sort game for first graders. The students should be able to sort animals according to their habitats. So I'm going to say use the following habitats. So we're going to say Sahara. Let's see, we want Sahara, desert, Arctic, and we want rainforest, and we can keep going further, but we're going to stop here. And because I have Canvas, that's great. But remember, if we want to create something and we want to create something that is a little more exciting, that is going to be doing some coding, this is where I go down to the pro version. It is going to take a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. It is going to create something that is, you know, that's going to be better because I'm using this pro version. The other thing I could have done is I could have added, since if I'm talking about like my CKLA unit, I could attach the teacher information from the like a PDF from that text. I could attach that, and it's going to create it more based on those animals that the students have worked on. But it's going to tell you what it is doing. So, oh my gosh, okay, this is pretty fast. So look, oh, it's using emojis. How cool is this? So it says I put together a fun matching game for first graders for habitat Sahara, desert, Arctic, rainforest. And here's the interactive game. So it is still coding. Okay, it's typing all these lines of code in here. Is anybody else lost? Because I am, because I don't know. I don't know how to code. I took a one coding class back in high school, or no, back in college, and not much after that. So, all right. So here's what it created. So let's see. So it says, let's sort the animals into their habitats. All right. So let's see. Oh my gosh, here's my animals with some emojis. This will be so much fun for the kids. So I'm going to try something wrong here. First, I'm going to put a snowy owl in the, I'm going to drag a snowy owl. Maybe. Come on. Oh, I think it's, is it still thinking? No, it's not. All right. So I'm going to click on the snowy owl, drop it here. Oh, it didn't like that. So when I've been able to drag these before, and I've created this before, it actually let me drag it. Notice how it shakes the rainforest when it says no. So what if I put a lizard in the rainforest? Nope, not a seal. Okay, a parrot. Okay, a parrot. Okay, I added that emoji here when I did it correctly. So that's cool. Let's put a monkey in here. All right, that's great. So this is one way you could do it, but it's not letting me actually drag and drop. So I need to tell it, make the activity one where the students can drag and drop the animal emojis. So what it's going to do is it's going to recode the activity. So if I go back over here to the code, it's going to edit the code. It's going to create something similar but new, but I can iterate, I can come up with ideas. I can ask it to change this color scheme. If I don't want to use emojis, it can do that as well. It is going through and it's editing the code for you. This is just plain speak that I am giving Gemini to create what I want to create. I've had some teachers that have said, well, I tried this and it didn't work exactly how I wanted. I go, well, all you really have to do is just type in the box. If you want, click try again, hit enter. It will try and it will create it again. Just because you don't get exactly what you want on the very first try doesn't mean you can't keep asking for it for new edits. All right. So that's some of the wonderful things that I love about it. I'm going to take out that try again. So it is tweaking things. Okay, here's a great idea. Dragging and dropping makes it feel more fun. So let's notice how it's changing my code, showing all that. Before we had 238 lines. Let's see how many different lines of code we'll have here. 229. All right, let's preview it. All right, so let's see if I can drag and drop these here. So what happens if I drag a sloth? Oh, now it's letting me drag stuff. So what about a polar bear? Oh, it still doesn't like that. So I could even ask it to say, give the students a no, try again, or sorry, try again message if I want to. I can adjust this however I want. Keep in mind, you are in control of how you want it to go through here. Okay, that's the cool thing. Once again, how do you get this to your students? So the way you get this to your students, you click on share, copy contents. That's going to take all my code here. And you can either put it into your LMS, or what I recommend is just going into and creating a website. It is pretty simple. I'm not going to lie to you. It is pretty wonderful to make a website. So I am going to go over here into my Google site. I'm going to click on the plus button, go to full page embed, one of the arrows. I can title this Animal Habitat Sort Game. Say done, and not add from my drive, but I'm going to add an embed. So I'm going to add my embed code, and I am just going to paste this. Here's all my embed code with the arrows. Hit next, and it should give me a little bit of a preview. Fabulous. I'm going to insert. Here is my animal habitat sort game. You know, maybe I look through this now and I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's not bad, but maybe I'd like all my animals up at the top. So it says here you can drag them or tap them. Remember, you can edit this, you can change this. But the cool thing is now, once you publish your website, you can take this URL, put it into your LMS, share it with your students. They have a fun game to use for sorting their animals into their different habitats. This is a different way of getting kids more engaged. All you did was create this in under 5 minutes. Amazing, right? So cool. Like, you're just engaging your kids in different ways they want to be engaged, but you're giving them learning opportunities. So that is how you can vibe code with using Gemini. So if I look at kind of as a review, with vibe coding, first you want to come up with an idea, something that you want your students to work on. So that's the ideate piece. Then you can always do your prompting, ideate. You can do your prompt. You can iterate, change it to make it the color scheme you want. Maybe you don't want emojis, change it to however you want it to look like. Maybe you want them to be able to play again at the end with different emojis. You can do that. Deploy it is where you copy and paste and put it into another website. So I hope this helped you out and gave you some different ideas of how you can use Gemini for you or for your students. And keep in mind, okay, just like we always talked about computers and Google and all that stuff, AI is not going to replace teachers. However, teachers that use it will replace those who don't, because they're going to be more efficient, you're going to engage your kids, and you're going to be coming up with way better ideas to make you look like a super teacher. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me with my email. It is kklein@twinlakes.k12.in.us, and I wish you luck. Take care.